So mic check, 1, 2. Fuck off. Welcome to AstonMTB. If you saw the last video about the unboxing of the YT Capra, you'll have seen YT scored 5 out of 5, A+, 10 out of 10 rating. Absolutely no problems with the order, delivery and packaging. Now we're going to have a first look at the bike and set it up. Let's go. So for those of you that are new here, this is AstonMTB. I think I'm the only really independent mountain bike reviewer in the world. Everybody else is funded by advertising from bike brands. Bike industry funds the reviews, so you may not always get the most unbiased and reliable information. I'm buying these bikes myself, I buy all the products myself. I don't ask for any favours from brands, I don't ask for discounts, I buy for myself. This bike was reduced on Black Friday discount, but no special treatment. I just went on the website, clicked, put my credit card details in, and it turned up a few days later. To fund the reviews, I do competitions on my competition website. If you go to the link in the description down below, you can go to the website and you can see the competitions. I tried to make it as clear and honest, as open as possible. You guys can see what you get, and that gives me the money to buy these bikes and normally break them. And the competitions on the site are only for the best parts available that I found and have passed the test. For example, these Hope brakes, Hope Tech 4 brakes, the best brakes on the market, SRAM codes, average at best. I would never do a competition for those. I only want to give away the best products, so you guys win the best products. And for example, the Hope brakes, I keep repeating these. If I find a better brake, I'll just stop using these Tech 4s completely, and I'll use the best brake on my personal bikes, and I'll only give away those in the future. So if anyone thinks there's a better brake out there than the Hope Tech 4, get in touch and we'll get some to try. I've basically tried all the brakes on the market except the new Trick Stuff Maxima. They don't count because you can't buy them for 1 or 2 years and the price is astronomical. And the TRP, I also can't find the TRP Evos anywhere in stock at the moment. I did pull my friend's brake lever in the lift queue in Moorsiam in the summer, and I got a massive amount of flex in the body. Yeah, I'm open to try new things. This is the ultimate mountain bike in my opinion. The perfect mountain bike. I built this myself. After years and years of trying all the different things, this is the best mountain bike for me so far. It can still be improved, but best parts, most reliable, best value, all those things. So YT Capra, let's get to it. So the first thing I did was check the weight. First of all, the product page for this exact bike has disappeared off the website since I bought it for some reason. Maybe it's now a discontinued model, I'm not sure. So I can't find the weight for it. I think they claimed 15.2, which I had in my mind, but I'm not 100% on that. I've weighed it with the pedals, with a bottle, at 15.85 kilos, which is 34.15 pounds for basically people in the United States of America, who's the only country in the world that still likes to use pounds and furlongs and yards. Now I don't really care about weight, but this bike is nearly all carbon fibre frame, bars, wheels and cranks. To me that seems really heavy at 15.85 kilos. This bike is 19.6 kilos or 43 pounds for the Americans. I love the Americans, you're some of my best supporters, but it is strange that you still use pounds. It's like you're trying to make your life difficult. So this bike is only 3.7 kilos less than this bike, but this bike was made by me with no budget. This bike has been manufactured by a company with millions, I'm assuming millions of dollars, euros budget to make the perfect lightweight bike. This bike has got all the heaviest stuff on, coil suspension, front and rear, downhill fork, longest shock you can buy. This bike's got lightweight air suspension, Zeb from Rockshox, single crown. This bike's got really heavy wheels and full-on downhill tyres. This bike's got carbon wheels and Exo Plus tyres, which are basically cross-country tyres, in my opinion. Both bikes got pedals on. These pedals are heavier than those pedals. This bike's got Hope Carbon. This bike's got Hope alloy cranks and a threaded BB. And this bike's got carbon cranks. So basically, I don't care about weight. Weight is important for weight distribution on the bike. In certain parts, you want lighter, you want a good unsprung to sprung mass. Weight difference. The overall weight isn't an issue to me. The bike needs to perform first and the weight comes later. But it does seem quite heavy. If you're a cross-country racer and you line up on the start line every week, or a road racer, weight's really important. If you're a mountain biker and you're not racing, you should try and make it more reliable. If you're not under 10% body fat, don't worry about your bike, try and lose some weight off here. I'm just 9.9% body fat after Christmas, so I'm allowed to be concerned about the weight. And I don't have any problem with people who have more weight on the body, but if you're worried about the performance of a bike, weight going uphill, you need to lose weight from your body first for simply propelling the weight up the hill. And heat levels makes a big difference to heat levels if you carry more weight. So no problem with people, bigger people, but if you're worried about the weight of the bike, think about your body weight first, your clothes you're wearing, things you're putting in your pockets, all that kind of stuff. It's much more important than a few grams on the bike. So yeah, it seems heavy to me compared to this absolute tank. I did say in the first video, this bike was perfectly assembled and the packaging was great, but I found a few problems. One, these boxes, to me, they open backwards, because then you can't get the stuff out so easily. I think it should open from the front, but you're definitely nitpicking there. The fork cable guide was possibly cross-threaded. It was nearly cross-threaded and not installed quite properly, but a little tiny detail. I'll fix that, threaded it in properly. Now the cable's secure. And the third thing, I've checked the boxes more thoroughly, and there's no tokens for changing the air volume on the fork or shock. The Zeb is now a 38mm fork, and I don't have any 38mm tokens if I need them. I've got 4,000 35mm ones, down to 38. Hopefully the extra performance gained by having slightly bigger stanchions will mean it'll be well worth going to the shop to find some 38mm tokens, because it's going to be so good. Now it's a little bit bigger, 3mm bigger, that I'll be desperate to find the tokens and be so happy with the performance. It won't be a problem. Same with the shock, different tokens to all the ones I've got. And didn't come in the box, where everything else has come in the box perfect. Now setup. YT have really good setup guides on their website videos. One guy who I know quite well, Eric Ermish, German Steve Pete, who does some great videos on how to set the bike up. I know Eric really well from racing years ago. I've also spent a lot of time riding with him in Finale and doing post-ride activities like drinking beer. Really nice guy, good setup videos, a really good setup calculator on the website. So I put in the standard settings, which for my weight, they say 58 psi on the fork to give 25 to 30% sag. In reality, that's giving me 17.6% sag, but just in the garage, the fork does feel pretty soft and hollow. And 18% sag is my personal optimum. 18, 30 is ideal for me. The rear shock, 144 psi to give 30% or 19mm of sag. And when I was seated, that gave me 28% sag. and standing 23%. Pretty close. The pump that comes with the bike is an analog pump, so not that accurate. And on a fork that's only using 58 psi, 1 psi can make a big difference. So I do have a digital pump that I've used to be more accurate. So YT do supply a pump, which is great, but it is analog. So for fine tuning, less important on higher pressure things because there's less leeway change. But yeah, on a low pressure fork, you need a very accurate pump because 1 psi can make a big difference. So yeah, great set of videos. I'm not going to change anything until I get on the trail and see how it goes. The access setup, also a great video, gone through that, set it up. The SRAM, slightly different. They recommend 25% sag front and rear. I'm guessing this is more for cross-country riding. And there's a woman doing the how-to video and this checking the sag and she's standing on her tiptoes. So first problem, if you're standing on your tiptoes and flat pedals, you're not going to be able to ride the bike properly. You've got to get your heels planted down because it doesn't matter what sag you've got, your feet are going to come off the pedals as soon as you hit a bump. So hopefully that poor girl in the video didn't ride like that and she's still okay, still safe. I also think having the same sag front and rear on the flat is basically impossible, except for maybe cross-country riding. Because as soon as you start going downhill, your weight's biasing forward and you're braking, which is throwing your weight more forward. So your sag needs to be biased towards the back of the bike, static. So when you're going downhill, you're in a more equal 50-50 balance. So yeah, great setup guide, but we'll get it on the trail and see. I knew there was another issue with the setup that's not perfect. The valves are not lined up with the Maxxis logos, which will upset many mechanics. You should, in a perfect world, be running the valve directly opposite your tyre sponsor's logo. So when your bike's hanging in the bike stand at a World Cup race or a race, the weight of the valve will fall to the bottom and keep your sponsor's logo on the top to keep your sponsors happy if you have sponsors. I don't have sponsors, so I'm just going to leave it like this. But while we are here at the tyres, this bike's advertised as a top-of-the-line Enduro bike, and it comes with Exo Plus protection tyres, which are pretty lightweight, and carbon wheels. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to risk riding it completely stock, because I've got a long track record with carbon wheels exploding, so I'm going to try and change the tyres to something a bit more robust before we start riding. Now I've spotted a few other things around the bike while I've been setting it up and having a deeper look at it. One thing that's silly, and quite a few brands do it, and I'd love to hear a response from YT why they do this, from Stefan. You can tell me why. You spec'd a PM180, 180mm disc brake mount, and even gone to the trouble of putting graphics on saying PM180. But this bike comes with a 200mm rotor. And I've checked all the bikes in the Capra lineup, and they all come with 200mm rotors. So every bike in your range uses a 200mm rotor. And with these average at best SRAM code brakes, I don't know anyone, if they're riding it for Enduro, which it's designed for, is going to want a 180mm rotor. If you have good brakes like these, hopes, you could definitely run a 180 with no problems. These brakes, they're bad enough with 200 overheating and just not being that powerful. So every bike in the lineup has got a brake mount, which brake mounts drive me mad because these bikes are like optimized in every way. Every piece of the carbon layer has been optimized, supposedly. Every gram has been shaved, every little bit of the teeth on the cassette has been optimized. And then you have to stick a brake mount on. And if you change your brakes, you never have the right one. I've got a box of 47 brake mounts here, and none of them are the right one. And then every bike, every time you take the brake off, you've got loads more faff and things. This can also lead to more misalignment in your brake caliper. Your brake caliper needs to be perfectly aligned with the rotor. So brake mounts, just put the right one on to start with. Like, I don't understand it. The Z, 200mm straight on. When I custom built some dropouts for my custom Supreme, on the rear I made 220mm post mount for a 220 disc, because all the common style World Cup racers running codes and TLP were using 220 rotors. On this bike I went for a 200 because I tried the 220 rotors with these Hope brakes. Basically too powerful, too sharp, too much power. This one, direct mount, 200mm. Other things I have noticed is the frame does come with some paint protection on the chainstay, seat stay, which is nice. It also has this rubber moulded protection all around on the seat stay and the chainstay, and seems to go really far. On the Norco I had last year, we had problems with the paint getting chipped because the rubber didn't cover the frame where the chain was slapping. This looks really good. We'll see if we get any chain slap marks on the frame and see if the rubber mouldings are doing their job. But it looks fantastic. Proper chain guide and bash guard from E13. Nice coverage on the bash guard. They bend one of these really easily on the common cell. When I've touched a bit of rock with it slightly and it's bent. Hopefully this one will be a bit tougher. On the Norco we cracked the frame with the ISCG mount, so hopefully this will not crack the frame and not bend too easily. We'll see. The water bottle cage fits in nicely, no problems. There are no tools or integrated tools on this bike, so I'm going to get a one-up tool, the same as I have on this bike, and put it in the steer tube. Now I'm very picky about handlebar setup. My perfect setup is an SQ Lab or Renthal push-on grip, soft. I don't like lock-ons. And an SQ Lab 12 degree or 16 degree back swept bar, rolled slightly forward to get more upsweep. This is a standard Renthal bar. It's quite low rise. I'm not sure which rise it is, but it's quite low. 50mm stem, 35mm clamp, so I don't have any other bars that fit on here. On this bike, it's got lock-on grips. These feel quite nice and quite soft, ODI ruffians, but lock-on grips. The only performance advantage of a lock-on is in the workshop. Put them on, tighten the Allen key bolt, done. But lock-ons, if you do break the lock-on somehow or forget to tighten it up, massive problems. The push-on grip, wire it on, glue it on, it'll be perfect, no problems. The lock-on grip also absorbs a lot less vibration from the trail because half of the rubber is replaced with a plastic sheath. So I'm not a lock-on fan, but I'm going to give them a try. 35mm clamp bar, carbon. I'm guessing these are going to be really stiff. So we've got a really stiff fork lower, really stiff bar area. And, well, we'll just show you. I'll show you what always happens and what I don't agree with. Making the bottom of the fork stiffer and stiffer, and the bar stiffer and stiffer, and not sorting out the steerer tube. Because, well, I can feel loads of flex there in the steerer tube. Yeah, I think more of the fork stiffness should be around the top, like a dual crown. So this bit's really stiff, the stem connection is really stiff and always straight. And then you want the flex to be at the ends of the bars to absorb some vibration. And the same with the fork, you don't want a really stiff fork at the bottom so it can't track the ground easily. So this bike's got a really stiff, massive, oversized fork lower, and then at the top you've got this weak junction, and you've got a really stiff part again here. Not the best for the stiffness characteristics. This bike, smaller lowers, direct mount stem, 2 crowns, much more precise steerer stem head tube junction, and then alloy 31/8mm bars with some nice flex. And also a 50mm stem. It is 2023. This is a 40. I think this is really as long as I'll go. But 25, 30, 40mm, 50. As soon as you look at the bike, it looks like your hands are over the front axle compared to this bike. This bike's really slack. 62, 40mm stem. This bike's 64 on paper. My other issue with the bar is it feels quite low, and this is an extra large bike. And This bike has a 112mm bar height approximately and a 360mm BB. This has got a 346mm B and a 108 bar height. So the handlebar on this bike is 26 millimeters lower than on this bike, and I'd like to put it slightly higher on this one. The bar height from the floor is one measurement, but really you should take into account the BB height, because the BB height on this bike is a lot higher than that one, which affects the handlebar height as well. Also with the Z fork, for some reason there's no travel markings on the fork, because this one has, and all the other Rockshox forks I believe, have the travel sag markings. So when I check the sag, there's no markings, not sure why. And it's spec'd with a 170mm fork. They call it like a top of the line enduro bike. I'll just go for the 180 fork, or even the Z goes to 190. The 170 to me seems a little underpowered. And this is something that's going to come up in the test a lot. I'm going to test these two against each other, and people are going to say that I'm biased to this bike, possibly, because I'm testing a downhill bike against an enduro bike, and it's not fair. But this bike's my vision of the perfect enduro bike, with all this stuff, 200mm travel front and rear. This is YT's vision of the perfect enduro bike. They've got a multi-million-dollar budget company, investment, engineers, test riders, pros, all that stuff, and they've gone with a 170. Personally, I don't see why you wouldn't just go 200. If you have a good suspension setup, the extra travel doesn't cost you anything, doesn't add any weight really, and doesn't affect the performance pedalling, because if your bike's not moving when you're pedaling, like this one, you're not losing any efficiency. So yeah, a bit strange to have a 170 fork in my opinion, but we'll ride it, we'll see what happens. And that's it really for the first look and setup. The setup was really easy, really well put together. The access was pretty easy to set up. I did have to update all the firmware on nearly all the modules, but that's just some minutes sitting there downloading stuff. I changed the tyres before I ride, and yeah, everything else is great so far. I've done a ride around the garden, seems okay. So yeah, next thing, take it to the trails in Finale Ligure, just down the road from me. Some of the best mountain biking in the world, true enduro mountain biking. They've had an Enduro World Series there every year for 10 years or more. So the home of enduro. I'm going to take the enduro bike and see if it can handle the enduro trails of Finale. And yeah, hopefully you'll have some positive first ride impressions coming soon. Thanks, see you on the next one.